Evet, tekrar merhaba bayanlar baylar. Bugünün 3. oturumuna hepiniz hoş geldiniz. Eee, Bu oturumda sabahki konu
Distinguished guests, I'd like to welcome you to the afternoon session. In this session, we're going to talk about this new transformation period in this panel, and we're going to talk about this in detail. And we will try to understand the opinion of our panelists. And at the end of this panel, or during the panel, if you have any questions you would like to ask, please take the floor without hesitation. I would like to introduce our panelists first. Mr. Sevban Yaşar, Çınar Boru, Sales and Marketing Director, Mr. Kaan Sarnıç, Yücel Grup Sales Director, and Ahmet Özkan, Mr. Ahmet Özkan, YÜKDEM Board, President of Board, and YISAD's member of the Executive Board. Now, Ahmet Bey, I would like to give floor to you first. Now, primarily, would you please introduce yourself and your company first? And because you are one of the major actors in this industry, and you have a wide range of products, you have so many offerings. And would you please talk about your markets as well? Hello, everybody. I'd like to welcome you all. Dempaş Demir, since 1999, is serving as a distribution channel. And our company has no machinery, and we are one of the rare companies who still is working as a merchant. And in fact, our company is mainly providing services to the companies in Ankara and Izmir, and the companies, in Trace, and we're usually serving to the steel constructionists and machinery companies mainly. And we're in fact a kind of a market in terms of the range of products. Cold, hot, galvanized are all available. We have the box profiles, and we have the pipes available. This is all I can say about our company shortly. Let's continue with you, Mr. Kaan. When we talk about Yücel, what comes to my mind is Yücel pipe. Maybe you have more than 30 years of history, and maybe we can hear your markets as well, and what we can hear about your services as well. Thank you very much. Well, I've been working in this sector for 34 years now, and we know each other with Murat for a very long time. I sold almost every kind of flat steel products. It's usually either hot or cold products or galvanized products. And in my case, we have the low watt, or the ones that are used for the ballast, and we have tin, or again, we met with Murat in a trade about tins. So we also come up with different versions of the plates as well. I work both on the production side and on the manager side of the business. I worked for Kibar Holding for 25 years, and afterwards, in 2015, I started working at Yücel Group, working in the steel service part of it, working as a director, managing the sales and the marketing. As I've mentioned, in terms of specialization, we provide services both on hot and cold rolled steel. We provide services. We also offer the cutting services. And we, as a service center, is using the local products, both on the rolling side and both on the hot producer side. On an annual basis, we have a service of 400,000 tons. We sell these products, in fact, distributing these products all around in Turkey. We have a very qualified sales team, a crowded group of people, because it requires a lot of sensitivity as well as skills to distribute these products. That's all we do. So in the essence, we distribute the steel and we touch every part of Turkey in that respect. Okay. And as for the last word, we would like to hear you. Let's hear about your company, the capacity, the product range of your company, the volume of your production, and you also have a current investment. If you can give us some information about it, it would be great. Well, we're in this industry for 45 years, both on the steel side and in terms of the pipe manufacturing. We have a 400,000 tons of capacity in Karadeniz, in Black Sea, and we have hot and cold rolled products and galvanized products. We provide services for those products. From 0.30 to 20 millimeters, we have a range of products. And we have a capacity of 150,000 for pipe in Düzce. Our headquarters in Düzce, and in the same location, we have a pipe center. We have ERV pipe profile from 0.6 to 6 millimeters. From 6 to 8 millimeters, we manufacture profiles. And we also have a logistics fleet. And we also have an investment for acid processing. Every day in Turkey, we see the increase in use of the added value product, both on the automotive industry and in the construction industry. So there is a increasing demand to this product. So we have seen a gap in the market. That's why we decided to go for an investment. The acidification process at the moment can be done by many companies in Turkey. However, ours is a 10 millimeter capacity line, and we are the only facility that provides 10 millimeter of acidification. With this investment, we hope to minimize this gap in Turkey. And again, the acidification lines are usually continue lines in the facilities, but here in our, it's not going to be a continuum line, so we're going to provide a turbine advantage. We have a 300 people capacity, and we provide services to automotive industry, to thermal and construction sectors as well. In the West Black Sea region, we have ISO 500 accreditation. So our main purpose is to put this into implementation as of May and start serial production as of June. So the start will take place in May. We're yet at the final step and phase of it. Well, while working on this process, we're getting a great support from many countries. We cannot bring the Indians or the Austrians here. It takes some time to bring them here. But we managed to come to the end. Hopefully, we're going to be launching it as of June. Thank you. Well, we're going to talk about this transition period, but I would like to talk about where we are coming from. Can we begin with it? Well, first of all, compared to a previous year, well, we may be lower in quality, but the production has increased and the import has taken place. And unfortunately, we had this earthquake disaster. These all had an impact on the sector. Now, either you or your company, in terms of your market, how do you evaluate these kinds of developments? So where do we stand at the moment? Let's begin with you, and then we will hear the other speakers. Well, last year was an interesting year. First of all, we had this earthquake disaster, and then following this disaster, there have been some changes. We naturally plan to grow by 5 to 10% every year, and the reason But we weren't able to grow as much as we wanted. It was doubled last year. It's mainly because of the earthquake, because of the coated products, and because of the other products, because they were mainly used for the tent manufacturing. But in the tent conditions, as it is not that good, I have to say that there has been a great mobility in the industry. When we have a look at 2003, well, in terms of our tonnage and in terms of profit, we've been good in terms of galvanized products, but in terms of the rolled products, it was not a good year, I have to say. Well, in the first quarter, with the increase of the prices, we had a good profitability. However, in the second quarter, we weren't able to reach those numbers because of the general elections. There was an uncertainty. Therefore, 50% of our profitability was lost in the second quarter. I don't know whether this would be again covered as an industry. Let's talk about the third quarter. There was a rapid increase after the elections, and this is in fact a sector working with maturity. And we usually sell with 60, 90, 120 days of maturity. And in the fourth quarter, the prices started to go up again, and we almost reached to the numbers at the first quarter. Now, when we have a look at the products, we have seen that the flat part of business has maintained the position. And especially for the long products, we had some challenges. It was like $740-$50. However, by the end of the year, it was like 670. Therefore, it's been a difficult year. If we were to summarize 2023 from the perspective of the distribution channel, it's possible to say that it was a period with high prices. And we have been able to capture certain profitability. And unfortunately, some of the products were not able to make any profit. But in terms of the merchandise, it was a good year, I have to say. Okay. Okay. So you also mentioned about the profile. Well, in our electronical marketplace, we had these search profiles. A record number of box profile was looked for. How about you, Kaan? Well, as you said, we had this earthquake disaster. So many sad things happened, and those all have been reflected both on Turkey and on other areas. And in terms of the steel service centers, I have to say that, as mentioned by Ahmet, especially for the tents and for the mobile houses, that there was an urgent need for steel. And I have to say that there is a program, and they just cannot provide the product immediately whenever there's a demand. Therefore, the first phase was about stocking. And afterwards, the steel service centers had difficulty in terms of reaching the products. And the main manufacturers, when they were able to provide the products to the earthquake zone, it was difficult for us to reach the area. And again, when the channels are open, I have to say that the way to imports have been opened as well, because there are some other areas where there's a need for steel as well, and the shipments went on in order to meet the other needs as well. Therefore, well, I cannot easily say that it was a good year. There are opportunities every day, every time. And there are people among us who are very experienced. They will know that this is a dynamic industry. It may be cloudy today, but sunny tomorrow. So you wouldn't know why and what happens. And therefore, you have to be ready with your people, with your stocks, with your financial resources. You have to be able to manage them diligently. And we were ready for it. Our professional team was ready. We had a good year beyond our expectations. And 20 I'm going to talk about what we're expecting from 2024 soon. Well, similarly, 2023 was positive for us in terms of the internal markets. The advantage came from the earthquake, unfortunately. The producers in the earthquake zone were much affected, and demand had to shift towards us. And it was the pipe profile which was highly demanded. 45% of a capacity increase have been observed compared to previous year. And I have to say that we are usually working with the final user, consumer. Therefore, our capacity is like 61% at the moment. Therefore, those coming from the earthquake zone, the demands that are coming from the earthquake zone could be met immediately and rapidly. An inspector was coming from the economy or from the Ministry of Trade. They were just checking out the prices. So it was a bit of a problematic period for us, but also a very positive time for our industry as well. Now, if we were to evaluate it in terms of the exports, there was a decrease. However, in terms of the internal market consumption, there was an increase. So we closed the year deal with an increase. And for 2024, parallel to 23, we have some expectations. Well, in fact, 2023, in terms of profitability and performance, was a positive year for us. Okay, thank you very much. Now, hopefully, this year is going to be much better. Now, let's continue with you, Mr. Kaan. Let's talk about the current situation. We have high inflation, increasing interest rate, and frequently changing regulations. So how do they affect your sales? When you think about your sales in the internal markets, what are the challenges and what are the solutions? Now, to give you an example, well, we were mainly selling on TL at the beginning of the last year. And this is still in practice in the market. So you're selling the product with TL today, and whenever the shipment is, starting from that date, the maturity date begins. And we've used this very intensively, and we sold so many products in Turkey. However, in those times, the interest rate was like 9 to 13% on an annual basis. It was manageable. However, now we're at 45%. So it's like 5% per month. So you're going to lose 10% for a shipment in 2 months. So you will lose $70. So while selling a product, 98.5% of it is the raw material on the steel service. Probably this is the case for all of the service companies. So we have to work in that 1.5%. And without winning that money, we're just losing it. This inflation and the high interest rates have an effect on us. So we've changed the way we sell. So starting from we started to come up with the maturity starting from today. Therefore, this was the challenging part of the business. Okay, we're doing it that way, but unfortunately, the market is not putting it into practice immediately. The competitors or the other actors in the market, they may still continue with the other way. And it was a difficult time to earn money, to make money. But as I said, we have dollar sales as well. And it isn't easy to reach the credits. Well, it's a little bit more available at the moment, but a month ago it wasn't possible to find any credit. And as we cannot sell without any guarantees, it's not possible for us to sell the product. Therefore, it was a little bit of a challenging situation for us. The rates are all very high at the moment, and it's pushing our limits. In fact, as the steel service centers, we make an order today, and in 2 months' time, we receive the products, and we try to keep it in the stock for managing this uncertainty. So if you keep a stock for a month, and if you receive all the materials in 2 months, then it means that you're just trying to cycle the whole economy in a 4 months of stock and inventory management. It's troublesome. It's sometimes very difficult for us to reach the products in a short run. So on the demand side, we have some trouble. And on that part of this business, I can say that by increasing the variety, we have a strategy to put forward. This is it, all I can say at the moment. Thank you. So these are the sales experience of the people from 1990s. The major problem here is about Turkey's position. The interest rate in Turkey reacted late while the interest rates were getting higher in the world. And due to this reason, we are suffering from inflation and high interest rate today. From this perspective, the companies like ours, their accessibility to the credits is almost zero. Can you imagine if you want to make a commerce with 5% interest rate, it's not possible to earn money, make money. So 35% of the products goes to the client and 5% goes to the inventory cost. And in an environment where the cost of inventory is 5%, it's very difficult to manage the whole process. And every day a new regulation comes out. For instance, a decision was taken about VAT recently, and with respect to this, we've received so many complaints from the companies, and as a result, the decision was withdrawn. However, there is a problem about that. Yes, okay, the decision has been withdrawn, but no announcement is made to the tax offices to withdraw from this case. Therefore, the companies are in desperate need of financing because of this change in the law. And this means that we're not going to be able to manage the stocks, and all the available risks will get higher. Therefore, this is the process which is really hampering our process. And I feel like it's going to be a little bit more difficult after the elections. At the moment, we're just trying to regulate and manage the risks, both on the raw material and the business. And it's a scary process for us. And I hope we're not going to come across with big trouble. Well, looks like everybody's in trouble. Well, the major thing about this is about the rapidly changing deposits. And I have to say that the VAT since October last year was #1. And then people decided to postpone and buy and purchase certain items. By late February, we have seen that the reimbursement for VAT has been completed. And another challenging thing about this period is, well, of course, we're going to pay the value-added tax, but the financing is very high, which means that the credit ratio at the moment is like 45%, or may reach up to 55 to 60%. Therefore, to put this into the bank as a deposit is something that not that easy. And I have to say that when we think about the cost of this, we figure out that it's usually 0.5%. If we think that it's 40 for the material, then 0.5 pennies is going to be the cost of funding of that process. So this is something which we all have to take into account. We have to be very careful about it. And again, this is mentioned by Mr. Sevban. The clients, on behalf of us, to declare the VAT is not the only one. They were asked to pay for it as well, but then they quit it. What they're expecting from us is that we're going to sell this product and the clients will declare the VAT and then we're going to pay it. However, this is never possible. And with the recent amendment, they've changed their mind. And it is still possible to make an amendment on this law. Another thing that I would like to mention is the interest rate. Now, there is a kind of a confusion about interest rate. The indicator rate is like 45%, the reference of the central bank. And however, the interest rate we apply in the market is like 60 to 70%. Therefore, in between these two interest rates, there is like 20% of a difference. And this is quite an abnormal situation for me. This has to be sorted out. After the elections, we're going to see how the economy politics will be. Is it going to be like increasing the interest rate, or is it going to be like limiting the money to stop inflation? So this is one of the things that all the sector is very careful about. We don't have any trouble in terms of the checks. This is the good part of this market at the moment. Everybody is trying to cover up what they have to do. And I can easily say that the payments for the checks are starting to be postponed. Another thing that I would like to mention is last year, in some of the product groups, there was a high demand. And people were therefore obliged to take a burden more than they could carry. This is something which we see sometimes. And we see unnecessary price drops. The solution for all of these things, in fact, is to be consistent and grounded approach. Everything has to be sustainable, and İş Bankası General Manager said all those things about the credits. But however, the high interest rate is making people to stop and think about it. Maybe in the coming future, it will be much easier to find more affordable credits, and the merchants will have a better chance. Okay, now thank you very much for all those things. Now, Sevban Bey, let's continue with you in the store. Now, I'd like to talk about a few more things. We mentioned about the challenges on the procurement side. Well, it is a troublesome period. Supply of the material is much more important than usual. So what is your strategy in terms of the supplying of the material? How do you determine the timing? So
Burada satış müdürlüğü yapıyorum ama aynı zamanda satın alma tarafını ekibimle beraber yönetiyoruz. Aslında biz
well, I am on the procurement side of the business, but as the commercial unit, we have a motto, which means that there is nothing like a supplier who is distant. In this respect, we will be suppliers.
Dempaş'ta olabiliyor. Yani burada
This can be Ereğli Demir Çelik or one single supplier. If it is a product that we can sell, we can meet at a certain point and we can do business. And in terms of the ERP systems, we can report the data retrospectively, and based on the report we get, based on the forecast of SteelOrbis, we make a forecast and we make an instant connection, which means that if we need a certain product immediately, then we make a research about the market and then we try to get in touch with the right resources in order to demand that product. And on top of this, we try to figure out the suppliers who come up with alternative products. So we tell them about an allocation and we tell them that we're going to do the procurement accordingly. And after we determine this allocation, depending on our needs, we revise them and we can get the sizes according to our needs and we can take immediate actions. Therefore, what we're looking for is, yes, okay, the market is very volatile and lead times can change from one day to another. And looking at the capacity utilization rates, as we have seen in the morning sessions, the utilization rate may reach up to 65%. However, we see that in many companies there are capacity vacuums, or sometimes by importing or because of the delays during the shipment, they are trying to tolerate certain things. And for this reason, there may be some companies who would like to produce what the available products, and by using their capacity, we're doing immediate procurement.
Fiyat tahminleri deyince kendi
Well, when you talk about the price estimations, I feel under pressure. We do follow, actually, it as a team. We keep reading the comments. What we see in the market is that there are some colleagues that we exchange know-how and information, and this is how we do the procurement activities. Thank you. Let's continue with Ahmet, please. I think the most important thing is the position. Correct time and correct position should match. In the last few years, there is something new. Ordering the correct product on the correct time is not enough. Purchasing it on the correct time, being able to purchase it on the correct time is even more important. Delivery times, unfortunately, inconsistent. Probably the people from the roller sector also do complain about the same thing. One of the most important complaint and the problem is this. Are you talking about local or international? International, because I'm talking about the segment of trade. It might be true for the general, not only for our own group. If you cannot receive the goods on the correct time, you cannot actually make profit. It is even the contrary, unfortunately. So the term delivery times is the most important thing. And about the procurement. Volatile prices, unfortunately, cannot let us to have a stable prices. So we are just like acting according to the estimations and expectations. There are a few variables, even maybe more than 5 there are. And in every step, we question the prices in Europe, in China. We have to understand that otherwise we cannot actually be in the correct position to catch the correct prices. It's really important to be instant, spontaneous, closely following the market is really essential, and not being in the long-term positions is other actually activity that we have to follow as the tradespeople. Last year, yes, we made good money, and there is now a good appetite. And people are still actually searching for such a situation, but it can be problematic because if the interest rate goes up, tradespeople, their maybe positions can create problems. The world is not as it was before. It is getting smaller and smaller. We can just keep the track of what's going on in the even very small corner of the world. Thank you, Ahmet. Kaan, how about you? Kaan is saying that we try to purchase on time. Well, this is also our wish, but unfortunately, it cannot happen. Sometimes the due date, well, just takes 2 months or 2 months and a half. Well, of course, there are actions that we can implement for the correct timing. In Yücel Group, procurement is done from the center. We have a huge reporting system. Automated reporting system is scanning the whole country. When we wake up in the morning, actually, we receive a lot of reports, locally and internationally, even before we start the day. And this is what the procurement department does. Furthermore, there are CRM reports that we follow. In my own team, I read actually 100 customer interviews per day, actually. So I can very closely follow where the market is directing to. This is kind of a measurement that we adopt. Yücel Group is in the business all the time. We always purchase and sell, purchase and sell. It's not actually guerrilla style. We don't have guerrilla style, such as some other companies. We never say that we cannot share a price with you, our sales are closed. No, we don't do it. We are responsible of our clients. They have their commitments. So we have to be loyal to our clients. So we cannot say that we don't sell to you because we don't have materials. So that's why we always scan the lacking product. Well, for example, we over order sometimes. We try to cover the gaps in the orders. So we follow the daily actually stocks. So this is how we act. So I can say that stock and the variety of the products and making a follow-up of it, I believe is really important. So even for the hot sheet, there are different qualities that you have to just follow very closely for the hot rolled. However, our procurement is central, as I have said. Thank you very much. We have a few more topics. However, if you have any questions about the previous chat, maybe you can intervene. If not, I'll continue with my own questions. Let's continue with the sectoral investments. In recent years, we have focused on the capacity. There are many investments going on. Even we talked about that in the morning. After the recent actual investments, hot rolled and galvanized capacities have increased. So when you think the market conditions and your own business, how do you evaluate that? Ahmet? As business people, well, what is important for us is increasing the capacity, inviting new producers. Well, I think that these are very positive for the market in terms of competitivity and also in terms of finding the products. I believe that it is all good. This is the best advantage. However, on the other hand, increasing the capacity from time to time can create some problems. So these are the times where we have lower export rates. And in such periods, actually, local producers focus on the internal markets. So the traditional actually distribution channels. Well, rather than that, they also just launch these products into the market. And in such cases and in such scenarios, of course, there can be some volatilities in the prices. However, distribution channels and tradespeople are happy that the capacity is better. Yes, export is really important, as you said. Kaan? Yes, that's true. The capacity is increasing. It looks like as if it is not covering the usage. However, I believe that it is over investment, especially for the coated 5 million tonnages. I'm sorry, it is the capacity, and it will be up to 8 million very soon. Of course, export channels should be open. Regulations, they exist in here and as well in other countries. Sometimes there are some preventions and it is causing to anti-dumping. 2026. Well, we cannot wait for it as the steel sector. We can only wait 2 quarters. We cannot wait until the 2026. The sun will rise again. We have seen many fluctuations and problems in the past, but it's okay. We will find our way because there are many investments and they shouldn't go to trash. While actually implementing some measures, we have to be really careful. We shouldn't just create an imbalance. So about the hot rolled, I don't agree with you. It is still a need, I believe. Thank you. Sevban? For the current deficit, the increase in capacity is aimed to create a balance. We consume this product, and of course, the consumer can search for more alternatives and can ask for a higher capacity. However, I agree with Ahmet. producers, when they cannot export, just to reach out to the final users, they sometimes act aggressive from time to time. And while doing so, they just unfortunately just break our activities. So we invest in the standard items, and we increase the capacity. As we have a really high HRC investment in Turkey, but you cannot access to all the items. If you actually search for a higher quality product, it is also limited. Even if there is a higher capacity, it does not mean that you will find exact product that you are looking for. So we are talking about green steel today. One of the most appropriate example is the usage of magnalysis in Turkey. It is increasing per day in Turkey. Why? Because European Union does not want the products including zinc. So in Turkey, in terms of the investment in the high added value products, unfortunately, we are limited. And we complain about China. We try to compete with China, but we cannot. So while increasing the capacity, I believe that we should focus more on the value-added products, high-value products, so that we can compete better in the commercial channels. I have a comment. Ayhan has talked about their new investments. Of course, we need such investments. Well, for example, 4,000 thickness of the product. Only there is one producer who can manufacture such special product. Yes, we need investment for that. And plus, for automotive, yes, we need see quality products. There are limited producers, manufacturers. And export comes from this segmentation, to be honest. So qualified investment, of course, is always welcome. Thank you. All panelists have underlined the importance of export. It is very important, but on the other hand, we see protectiveness activities, unfortunately, worldwide. First the USA and then the EU markets have shrinked. So how are we impacted by that? And on the other hand, we heard by the way morning speakers, we have an ongoing anti-dumping investigation. It is impacting the probably the flat sector. So what do you think on this? Well, we export the tube profile products. Of course, it is decreasing such activities, the competitive advantage, at least for the tube profile, I can say so. Well, the flat prices have been differentiated with the EU prices after the earthquake. So I would say that EU and England. These are the countries that we sell the most, and we left all these two markets to the local manufacturers. This is what had happened for the pipe tube profiles, and for the flat, we don't export much. Yes, we used to do it 2 years ago, but not nowadays. Do you have any comment about the anti-dumping investigation? No, I don't have any comments on that. Okay, Sevban? Well, because of the protectiveness measurements, I would say that the export percentage of Turkey has dropped, and it also is the reality for us. 30% of decrease for us it is. About the anti-dumping investigation, well, we were expecting that the result would be negative. Yes, there is an investigation, and the products coming from the Asia will be subject to the taxation. So our prices will be settled and adjusted. So that was our expectation. That was the expectation of the market in the beginning of the February. However, in the short term, unfortunately, we don't expect a clear result from the investigation. Maybe even not until the end of this year. It's not going to be clear, which means that the goods coming from China wouldn't stop. So we cannot compete with such a giant country that is producing half of the worldwide need. We cannot compete in the same platform with China for the hot rolled, for flat, for the pipe. We cannot create an alternative to China. Okay, Ahmet, about anti-dumping investigation. Sometimes it is a purpose, sometimes it's a tool, an instrument. How come it is a tool? I agree with Sevban. Yes, we expect the flexibility for the prices. Last year, there was a rumor about the anti-dumping, and the prices actually got a healing. There was a recovery for the prices after that rumor of investigation. But however, in the end, it didn't happen. So we are not part of this issue exactly, but we are being impacted, and I believe that main producers should be protected, yes, and it should be based on the logical terms. I believe that it is important because we are tradespeople and we sell it to the final users. So they just process them and then they sell it. So just think of China and their transactions. One their final products cannot be competitive. So what we should is to drop maybe the cost in Turkey locally, and energy is one of the most important costs on that regard. So the government should provide actually energy to the manufacturers with correct prices. It is really important to have a general energy policy for producers, for manufacturers. It should be close to the actually energy prices of other countries. It's not easy, I know. So when we just think of the geography that we are in, we are very close to the energy sources, alternative energy sources. So it means that we should be in a better place. Yes, we should be protected, but we have to be careful because otherwise we can hurt some manufacturers and we can maybe cause maybe a problem on that regard in the market. Yes, it is a quite sensitive issue. There are some sources that are being taken from the sector and being given to other sectors. Last two questions, Sevban. In the morning session, we have talked about green steel. I would like to ask it to you. How you have been impacted by that? How about your maybe measures? Green steel, it is something actually impacting the suppliers. So on that regard, we have a gas practice in our facility. We have on the roof a 3.2 megawatt system that is producing solar energy. So in terms of accessing it to the suppliers that are manufacturing green steel, this is something that we are searching for. These are the only practices that we do actually for now. How about you, Ahmet? In the domestic market, green steel has not been a hot topic that it deserves. we need actually a carbon markets board. It has to be functional, and there has to be a difference for price in between the companies that are paying attention to the decarbonization and not. So that's why for us, actually, it is maybe early. What does the sector do? Well, gas projects should be followed, at least on their own roofs, factories. Maybe producers can prefer solar energy options. We are also still a producer, so we are very sensitive actually on it. 140 megawatts investment is being planned now, and also for the roofs, we supply electricity via the wind turbines. Last year, actually, we accomplished it. So for Europe, maybe in some other cities, well, Mr. Veysel has talked about a problem actually. Well, we don't have such a problem in Turkey that the facility has to be in the same city. It cannot be in another city. That was what he has said. But it does not really sound logical. So on the producer side, of course, it's impacting the preference. It impacts the preference of the supplier. Yes, we need really quick regulations, taxation, and as well the best use of the taxation is required. Last question. We are waiting for the local election. Every year, unfortunately, we face with a new election. In the post-election period about the economy, there are different expectations. Some people are awaiting positive results, some others are awaiting the contrary. And about the interest rate also, there are different expectations. And the situation of China is obvious. Their economy is not that good. So what would you say about this? What are your future projections? Well, I'd like to make a comment about internal markets, local markets. I think that interest rates are going to actually define the situation. One of the foreign investment bank is expecting a 500 actually base point, so that interest rates will increase from 45% to 50%. So I don't know what's going to be the final result, but I think that it has to be normalized, especially when we just think the interest rates of the central bank and the market interest rates should be matching. They should overlap. So this is what we are expecting, and this is what we are going to see. About the capacity increase, so I think that the volumes are going to as well enlarge. The interest rate is expected to be high, and the demand will be lower, and there would be actually more products. The products will be more accessible, and the delivery actually final dates would be shorter. About prices, yes, the pressure coming from China is still a reality. About the pricing, I think that the flexibility will continue. Well, hopefully, the interest rate will go down in the USA. However, distinguished economists from Germany in the morning has said that in Europe there are some serious issues and challenges, including Germany and even the USA. If Trump is re-elected, who is going to be impacted the most? Germany. So there is such actually business report saying that Germany will be impacted the most, and I think that 2024 will be a challenging year for Turkey and for the whole world. Let's hope that interest rate will go down and we will have a better demand domestically. Interest rate drop, you mean for Turkey or for the USA? For both countries, of course. However, it's not very optimistic for our country. Let's see. Okay, Kaan. The first actor that is impacting the sector is China. It will continue to be. Anti-dumping investigations, of course, create a lot of question marks, and that's why import side is not that active. So it's a danger still. Ahmet made some rigid comments. However, I would like to be more optimistic because we are a country of 85 millions. Even if it is actually a little bit sometimes stable, still it is active in the end of the day. It can be rainy today, the sun will rise the next day. The commerce will continue. This has happened a lot in the past. This is maybe the dynamism that we have. It is maybe our nature. So what will happen in the future as the demand is low? While main producers, they don't receive a lot of demand. Especially about the extra quality products, especially it started maybe it will start maybe some problems starting from April. So the end of the year will not be worse than the last year. So you're not talking about actually a permanent improvement, but you're talking about a temporary recoveries or maybe some opportunities, right? Yes. Many years ago, I was in a conference, and Mahfi Yilmaz, a professor, has shared a story. BC 3000, in this land, there was a high inflation and a high interest. And I agree with this suggestion. It is in our DNA, it is in our genetic coding. So we are just afraid of a few parameters. Currently, we have actually the currency rate. We already pricing it. We have a market price of fiat, and there is also the official as well, of course, currency rates. So when we look at the situation of the currency rates, the difference is at 12%. So one of the biggest challenge is that for 2023, many companies from 10% or 15%, we used some credits. However, these companies, many of them are now debted with a ratio of 500 over 100. So there are many rumors, some companies, for example, applying for the bankruptcy. This is what we hear. However, the government does not allow it because they're waiting for the election. So what we expect is that, yes, there will be some problems after the election. And FED, we couldn't. The expectation was 2.9, and they explained 3.2. So, if we think from this point of view, this is the adhesive sticky inflation. So it is not going to impact the commodity prices. And if we think in China, before 2023, They were importing with $60 million, but they now do import $90 million. So we have an open channel of import with China. The only positive thing is that a data was released. Starting from the second half, PNI data is positive. If this is the case, hopefully export channels will be opened and there will come more actions. But other than that, we don't expect much of activity. Well, distinguished guests, I'm done with my questions. So maybe we can receive questions.
Global satın alma.
Well, you mentioned the investments. Well, there are so many things, the wind turbines or solar energy, so many things. Now, don't you think that this is an advantage more than being a threat? Now, what is your rate of covering your need of energy? Because as far as I know, there are incentives given by the states. You sell as much as you use the energy, and the purpose here is in the long run to reduce the cost. And you mentioned about the bankruptcy. Well, okay, you mentioned about the cost of labor. It is expensive. But the rate of labor, don't you think that it is very low in steel? So do you think it's a problem? Do you think that can be ignored when you think about long term? Thank you.
Söyleyeyim bakın bizim satış fiyatımızın içindeki ham madde %98,5.
Well, this is like 1.5%. Well, the labor there is very high. And again, the raw material price is high again. And again, looking at this in the past, for size adjustment, we used to take certain prices. It was like $5 and then $10. And for the roll, let's say, it's going to be 700. But for the cut one, it's going to be $710 added. Well, the cost there is not $10, it's $20 the cost. We're just, ignoring it. The cost of labor and the cost of energy is in fact rising. Even though we're still, it's like 98.5% to 1.5%, I can honestly say that the cost of labor is very high. Well, on the other side, your question about the energy, I'm not very capable of telling what you ask, but we have so many clients who made energy investments. We provide them services, materials. There are big projects in Turkey. However, they do not take action immediately because there are some credits, and those credits can be really limited. And again, sometimes you may need to wait. And there are large international funds. And I know that they just come up for turnkey projects as well. But I have to say that in terms of the solar energy, you may not be able to move quickly. However, we're expecting to see a high and a big move there this year. Well, in our facility, while we were constructing our solar energy, we decided to go for it in order to decarbonization. That's why we go for that investment. For instance, in this 2.3 megawatts of facility, we're able to cover up the whole need. That's the purpose. And the money that we pay there, by using the incentive there, we're using the same. And for this reason, the company wouldn't go into a problem because of the labor cost. It's about the credibility or uncontrolled stocking. And due to these stocks and inventory, I think they may come across with a crisis situation. And therefore, what I'm trying to say is, yes, okay, the labor cost in Turkey is high at the moment, but it's never the case for a financial crisis of a company. Thank you. Well, as far as I heard, the labor cost has increased. This is something that I heard from the procedures. I don't know. Any other questions then? Looks like there is no any other question. Thank you very much.